Leo had lived alone on planet Erevan for 127 days. His small research station sat in the middle of a green valley, surrounded by tall silver trees and soft blue grass that glowed faintly under the twin moons. He was sent by Earth's terraforming division to study the soil, air, and water. Every day he ran scans, took samples, and sent reports back to the orbiting station. He didn't mind the silence. In fact, Leo liked it. After years of noisy cities, crowded trams, and endless news feeds, Erevan felt like peace. Here he could finally breathe, but in the last few days something began to bother him. It started with small things. A mug moved from the kitchen shelf. His favorite jacket, usually folded, found lying near the door. The emergency flashlight was left on. At first, he thought it was forgetfulness. Maybe he was just tired. He worked long hours and had few breaks, but when food started disappearing, he knew it wasn't just in his head. Maybe there's an animal, he said aloud one evening, standing in front of the storage unit. 2 ration bars and a sealed fruit packet were gone. The seals weren't broken. They were opened carefully, like by a person. Leo checked the station's doors and windows. Everything was locked from the inside. The outside sensor logs showed no activity. Still, the idea stayed in his mind like a whisper. Someone is inside. That night, he couldn't sleep. He lay in his bunk, staring at the ceiling. The station lights were off, except for a small glow from the hallway screen. The silence was deep. He closed his eyes and tried to relax, but suddenly he felt it. A strange feeling like someone was near him. Watching, he opened his eyes quickly and sat up. The room was empty. He got out of bed and searched the small station kitchen, lab, airlock chamber, storage, even the maintenance closet. No one, nothing, yet the feeling didn't go away. The next morning, he had an idea. He went to the storage room and took out one of the old surveillance cams. These were basic cameras used during the first landing to track wildlife movements. He placed one in the corner of his room, hidden behind a panel. "I'll know for sure tonight," he said. Though he wasn't sure what he hoped to find, that evening he prepared for bed as usual. He acted normal. He read a few pages from an old novel on his tablet, yawned, and turned off the lights. He even left a small fruit packet on the table by his bed like bait. Then he lay back, pretending to sleep. At first, nothing happened, but after some time, when the room was quiet and dark, he heard something. A soft click, like the door gently opening. Then faint footsteps on the metal floor. Leo's heart raced. He kept his eyes closed, breathing slow, careful. The footsteps stopped. Near his bed, he could feel someone close, too close. Then came silence, long silence. He wanted to open his eyes, but he was afraid. Not of danger, but of what he might see. The next morning, the fruit packet was gone. Nothing else looked out of place. He didn't wait. He rushed to the camera and downloaded the footage. What he saw left him frozen. A woman, but not a human woman. She had pale blue-purple skin and soft features, unlike any species he had seen. Her hair was long and dark, and her ears were slightly pointed. She wore a simple, flowing robe that shimmered like water under light. She had entered the room silently, walked over to him and stood there, watching. For minutes, her eyes were wide, curious but not cruel. She bent closer, as if listening to his breath. Her lips moved, though there was no sound in the video. Then she reached toward his face, but stopped just before touching him. Then she turned, quietly picked up the fruit packet, and walked out. Leo replayed the footage again and again. She had been there, in his room, watching him sleep, and yet she hadn't harmed him, hadn't stolen anything important. Just watched? "Who are you?" He whispered to the screen. Later that day, he set up another camera in the hallway and near the main door. He also placed a motion sensor trap, not to catch her, but to alert him when she came. That night, he left another item on the table, a small necklace from Earth, one his sister gave him before the mission. He didn't know why he left it there. Maybe he wanted to see what she would do with it. He pretended to sleep again, and once more, she came. This time she stepped more confidently into the room. She looked around, then walked to the table and picked up the necklace. She held it close to her chest and stared at it for a long moment. Then she looked at him and softly, She whispered something in a voice like wind through leaves. He didn't understand the words, but they felt kind. The next morning, the necklace was still there, but something new was beside it. A pendant he'd never seen before. It was made of smooth metal, shaped like a falling star. Etched in its center was a symbol, two circles and a line. He touched it gently and it warmed in his hand. He didn't know what it meant, but one thing was now clear. She wasn't just watching him, she was trying to speak to him, and she wasn't. From Erevan's animal list. She was intelligent, she was here for a reason, and Leo needed to find out why. The pendant stayed on the table all day. Leo kept glancing at it while he worked in the lab. It didn't look dangerous. In fact, it seemed peaceful. The metal was smooth, cool to the touch. The strange symbol etched into it felt familiar. Even though he had never seen anything like it before, he ran a scan on it. No harmful radiation, no tracking signals, no known technology. It was made from a rare alloy not found on Erevan or Earth. That alone told him one thing clearly. She wasn't from any species the Earth Alliance had records of, but why was she here? And why him? Leo sat at his workbench and replayed the camera footage. The way she stood near him, the soft whisper, the way she had held his Earth necklace close to her chest. It didn't feel random. She knew something about him, or at least, she believed he mattered. He looked at the pendant again and then did something he hadn't planned. He placed his Earth necklace next to it and left both on the table, as if inviting her to return. Then he set up another camera, hidden better, this time, and stayed awake, watching from the lab screen. Hours passed. The station was quiet. Then the hallway sensor blinked. Movement. His heart raced. She stepped into view again, graceful, cautious, her steps light like a breeze. She wore the same robe, but this time she carried something in her hands. A small bundle wrapped in dark cloth. She approached the table, looked at the two items, and smiled faintly. Then she unwrapped her bundle and placed it down. Inside was a folded piece of thin, flexible material like organic paper. She paused, turned toward the hallway camera, and stared directly into the lens. Leo held his breath. She knew. She wasn't afraid. She had let herself be seen. Then she turned, looked one last time at the pendant, and quietly left. Leo waited until the station was completely silent again before rushing to the table. He picked up the thin sheet and carried it to the lab. It had markings, curved lines, dots, symbols that didn't match any human language, but something strange happened. When he placed his hand on it, a glow appeared, not from light, but from memory. His mind filled with soft images, not like videos, more like emotions mixed with pictures. A young girl looking up at a glowing sky, a quiet forest, a beam of light cutting through clouds, then Earth. Not just Earth, but his childhood street, his old house, his backyard. A memory from years ago, when he had been only 9, he remembered it now. He had gone into the forest behind his house during a storm. He got lost, but something found him, a strange shimmer in the air, like a silent watcher. He thought it had been a dream. A glowing shape, a whisper that helped him find his way home. But now he understood. It was her. She had seen him before. His hands trembled as he looked down at the symbols. He wasn't just anyone. He was someone she had been watching since Earth. And now she had crossed the stars to find him. The next night, Leo didn't hide. He turned off all the cameras. He cleaned the table and left a simple message written on his tablet screen. Please don't be afraid. Talk to me. He didn't sleep much. He waited. And finally she came. This time she didn't sneak. She walked through the airlock like she belonged there. The inner door opened quietly, and she stood at the edge of the hallway, looking into his room. Leo stood too, not moving, not speaking. He didn't want to scare her. After a long moment, she stepped closer. He noticed her eyes first. They were deep violet, filled with emotion. Not fear, something gentler, curiosity, hope. She raised her hand slowly and pointed to the tablet. Then she spoke. Hello. Her voice was soft, careful, as if the word had weight. Leo nodded. Hi, she smiled. Name? Do? He nodded again, gently. Yes, that's me. She stepped forward, holding her hands close to her chest. I watch, long time, you. A reason, he frowned slightly. Reason for what? She struggled with the words. Reason die come. This world, you, he blinked. Me? She nodded slowly. Leo sat down on the edge of the bed. Why? Why me? She looked down, then at the pendant still on the table. You light when I lost. Long ago you looked up. You smiled, I remember. It hit him like a quiet wave. That night in the forest. The strange feeling of being safe when he should have been lost. The dream he'd forgotten, he swallowed. You saved me, didn't you? She nodded again. My kind. Not come close, only watch. But I broke rule, I help. I return. Leo felt a chill not of fear, but of realization. You crossed space just to find me? She sat on the floor gently, folding her legs under her. Yes. Others know I hear. They search, if they find, I go away, forever. Leo leaned forward. Why would they stop you? She looked up, eyes serious now. We do not connect, no feelings, no touch. We watch, learn, leave, no bond. But you're different, she nodded. You made me different. When I saw you I never stopped. The silence stretched between them, but it wasn't heavy. It was warm. Leo took a breath. What's your name? She paused, thinking. Then she placed her hand over her chest and said, My sound. Is not easy, but you may say Sira. Sira, Leo repeated gently. It's nice to meet you. Her lips curved into a small smile. He stood and offered his hand. She looked at it, uncertain. Then slowly reached out and touched it with her fingers. For her, that touch meant breaking a rule that had been unbroken for generations. For Leo, it meant accepting a bond he never expected. They stood together in silence. Two people from two worlds, finally face to face. Outside, the twin moons shone down on the silent valley. But inside, something new had begun, quiet and fragile, yet powerful. Enough to cross the stars. The days that followed were unlike anything Leo had ever imagined. Sira stayed close to the research station, but never during the day. She preferred to move at night, when the moons were high and the valley was quiet. Leo understood it was safer for her that way. She was not supposed to be here every evening when the sun dipped behind the silver trees. Sira would appear at the edge of the clearing. Leo left the door open now, no longer locking it. He didn't need to. They sat together on the floor or by the wide window, talking in broken words, sometimes just using gestures. Leo showed her pictures on his tablet, photos of Earth, animals, oceans, cities, and forests. Sira listened carefully. Her eyes lit up whenever she saw something beautiful, especially anything that reminded her of his world. She showed him things too, strange symbols she drew in the air with her finger. Soft sounds like songs made of wind. One evening she placed both hands on his head, and suddenly images filled his mind, not words, but memories. He saw her as a child on her home planet. The sky was green, filled with flying shapes. Her people walked in silence, moving like shadows. Never touching, they watched life from afar. They believed emotion was a weakness. To feel too much was to lose control. That's how they had lived for centuries, but Sira had always been different. Even as a child, she felt too much. She used to hide alone and dream of places where people laughed and hugged. She broke rules just to feel small things, a breeze, the warmth of sunlight, the closeness of another being. And then, one day, she was sent to observe Earth. That's when she saw Leo. He had been just a boy, lost in the woods during a storm. He should have been afraid, but he wasn't. He looked up into the trees and smiled at the light that danced in the rain. That light had been her. For years after that moment, she remembered his face, that small, kind smile. That memory stayed inside her like a fire, even when she returned to her homeworld. She couldn't explain why, but she knew one thing. She wanted to see him again. Leo sat quietly after the memory faded. He looked at her, unsure of what to say. You've been watching me all this time, he said softly. Sira nodded. You gave me reason to feel, to break free. Leo looked at the sky outside. But your people, they don't know you're here, do they? No, she said. They search. If they find me, they take me back. And erase all I feel, Leo frowned. Erase? Sierra nodded. They do not punish with pain. They remove memory, emotion. I would forget everything, even you. The thought sent a chill down his spine. The idea that someone could just take away her feelings, her memories, it felt wrong, unnatural. We can't let them find you, he said firmly. Sierra looked into his eyes. They come soon. I feel them in sky. Their ship is near. Leo stood. Up, we have to hide you. There's no place, she said quietly. They find all things, but Leo wasn't ready to give up. He had survived storms, malfunctioning machines, and months of loneliness on this alien planet. He wasn't going to let her be taken just because someone else said she didn't belong. Maybe not hide, he said. But we can distract them, Sierra tilted her head. How? Leo pulled up the satellite map on his tablet. This valley has deep caves nearby, magnetic rock, it blocks scanners. I'll go there and leave a trail, make them think you're hiding underground. While they search there, you can stay in the lab. It's shielded. They won't sense you unless they come. Inside, she looked worried. Dangerous for you. I'll be careful, he promised. But I won't let them take you, not after all you've done for me. Sierra stepped closer. Her eyes were soft. She reached out and gently touched his cheek. You are kind, she whispered. Brave. Leo smiled slightly. No, just human. The next morning, he packed a small bag with supplies and left early. He placed false heat markers and used his equipment to create movement signals inside the cave. If the alien searchers were scanning, they'd see what looked like someone hiding deep inside the stone dot. By the time he returned to the station that evening, the sky was darker than usual. A strange hum buzzed through the air. Then he saw it, a ship, not human, not like anything Earth had built. It floated above the trees, silent, glowing faintly not from lights but from energy itself. It hovered for a few seconds, then released small orbs drones into the valley. Leo rushed inside and locked the station. He went straight to the lab where Sierra was waiting, hidden under the floor hatch that led to the emergency shelter. They're here, he whispered. Sierra closed her eyes. They scan now, he placed his hand over hers. They'll find the cave first, we just need to stay quiet. Outside, the drones floated, scanning everything: air, heat, life signals. But the lab was built to block all of that. It was the safest place he could offer. Hours passed. At one point, Leo heard a soft hum just outside the window. A drone. It paused near the wall, then moved on. His heart pounded in his chest. Finally, just before sunrise, the ship lifted back into the clouds. The humming faded. Leo slowly opened the hatch. They're gone. For now, Sierra climbed out quietly. Her hands were shaking. They will return until they find me. Then we keep moving. We'll find a way to make them stop searching. Sierra looked at him, eyes filled with something new, something stronger than before. You are more than I thought. You do not run. You fight for me. Leo smiled. That's what we do for people we care about. She stepped closer. Her voice was soft, almost unsure. I want to stay. But I do not wish to bring danger to you. You didn't bring danger, he said. You brought meaning. And I don't want to lose that. The sun rose behind the mountains, casting a golden light over the valley. For the first time since Sierra came, they stood together under the morning sky, not hiding, not afraid, but ready to face whatever came next. Together. For the next 2 days, the sky stayed quiet. The strange alien ship had not returned and the drones were gone. But Leo knew this peace wouldn't last. Sierra felt it too. She stayed hidden most of the time, deep inside the lab's emergency shelter. She only came out at night, when the stars were visible and the world felt safe. Her eyes often looked up, watching the sky, searching for signs of movement. She could feel her people through the stars like a silent pressure growing stronger. They are close, she said one night, her voice low. They will return soon, and next time they will not search, they will take. Leo tightened his grip around the mug in his hands. Then we can't wait for them. He sat down beside her and pulled up his tablet. He showed her a section of the map. Far to the west of their station, through the forest and over rocky hills, stood an old communication relay. It had been set up during the first months of the mission, but it had gone offline months ago. If I can fix it, Leo explained. I can send a signal directly to Earth's orbit station. A secure message. If we report contact with a new intelligent species and say you're seeking asylum, they might stop your people from taking you by force. Sierra looked unsure. Earth will believe you? They have to. It's law. Any intelligent life that asks for peace or help must be protected until a full council can decide. She touched his hand softly. You would risk this for me? Leo looked into her eyes. Of course. You didn't come this far to be taken away. Not going to let that happen. The next morning, Leo prepared for the journey. He packed tools, power cells, food, and a lightweight scanner. Sierra helped him silently, her fingers moving gently as she folded supplies. You should stay here, Leo told her. The relay tower is damaged. It might not be safe, but Sierra shook her head. I come with you. I can sense them. If danger comes, I will know first. Leo hesitated but nodded. He knew she was right. They left before sunrise. The forest was quiet as they moved through it, their feet brushing over soft moss and fallen leaves. Birds with glowing feathers watched from tree branches, and small creatures darted through the underbrush. The sky above slowly turned orange and pink as the sun rose. By midday, they reached the rocky hills. Leo stopped to rest, his back against a stone. We're close, another 2 hours maybe. Sierra sat beside him. She didn't speak, just looked up at the sky again. Her face grew still. What is it? Leo asked. They come, she whispered. Leo stood quickly and scanned the horizon. Far above. A shimmer appeared in the clouds. Then the ship came. This time it didn't float quietly. It moved with purpose, fast, low, and scanning wide. No, Leo said. They know we're not at the station anymore. Sierra closed her eyes. They follow me. We need to get to that tower now. They moved faster, climbing over rocks, through tight paths between tall cliffs. The wind picked up and dust swirled around them. Behind them, the sound of the ship grew louder. At last, the old relay tower came into view. It stood crooked, but still strong, its metal frame shining under the afternoon sun. The small station beside it was covered in vines and dust, but the door opened when Leo pressed his ID chip. Inside, it smelled of old metal and dry air. Dust covered the screens and walls, but the main system still had power. Leo rushed to the console. If I can patch this into orbit, I can send the signal. Sierra watched the door, her hands glowing faintly with soft energy. They come closer. Leo worked fast, reconnecting wires, resetting the signal booster, and bypassing the broken relay core. The system buzzed to life, lights flickering. Almost there, he said. Suddenly, the tower shook. A loud humming filled the air. The ship had arrived. Outside the station, a beam of light swept across the ground, searching. Drones dropped down, scanning the area. They know you're inside, Sierra said, stepping closer to Leo. I just need 30 more seconds, he replied. Typing quickly, Sierra placed her hand on the wall. The room vibrated slightly. Her energy was pushing outward, trying to block the scans. To give Leo more time. The door hissed. Then it opened. 3 tall figures stood there, cloaked in dark robes, faces hidden under smooth silver masks. They were silent, but their presence filled the room with cold pressure. Sierra stepped between them and Leo, one of the aliens, raised a hand and spoke in their native language. The sound was sharp and deep. Sierra responded in the same tongue, but her voice was calm, full of emotion. She was speaking for herself now, not for them. The alien's tone grew angry. He stepped forward. Leo hit the send button. A bright flash lit up the console. The message was sent. The alien turned his head sharply, staring at Leo, but before he could move, a loud chime echoed through the tower. A voice came from above, translated by Earth's emergency relay. This is Earth orbit. Command. Signal received. Message confirmed. Diplomatic protection granted. Any hostile action will result in consequences. The aliens froze. For a long moment no one moved. Then, slowly, the 3 figures stepped back. Sierra turned to Leo. You did it. The lead alien gave one final look, then tapped a device on his wrist. A beam of light surrounded the three of them, and in seconds they vanished. Gone. The humming outside faded. The ship lifted into the sky, then disappeared behind the clouds. Leo collapsed into the chair. Breathing hard, Sira walked to him and gently placed her hand on his shoulder. "You are safe now." He said, "No," she replied, smiling softly. "We are safe now." They stayed at the tower until nightfall, watching the stars appear one by one. For the first time, Sira didn't watch the sky with worry, she watched it with peace. The stars were bright that night. Leo sat outside the tower station, his back resting against the cool wall, while Sarah sat beside him. The sky above was full of light twinkling stars and drifting clouds. The air was calm, and the threat that once loomed over them was gone. Earth had answered the call. The message was clear. No one could take Sira by force now. Leo turned his head slightly to look at her. She was quiet, her eyes focused on the sky, but her body seemed relaxed for the first time. No tension in her shoulders. No worry in her face. "You're safe now," he said gently. She turned to look at him. Her violet eyes glowed softly in the starlight. "Because of you." He shook his head. "You risked everything to come here. You gave up your home, your safety, just to find me?" "I only did what was right," she smiled faintly. "Still, I am here because of you." They stayed in silence for a while, listening to the wind blow softly through the tall trees near the rocky hill. Finally, Leo stood and stretched. "We should get some sleep. We'll go back to the main station in the morning." Sira nodded and followed him inside. The tower's small interior was warm from the power systems. They lay down side by side on the soft padding Leo had set up. Earlier Sira didn't speak. She just watched him quietly, her head resting on her arm. Leo noticed her gaze and gave a soft smile. "You're watching me again?" She nodded. "It makes me calm." Leo closed his eyes. "You used to do that when I was asleep, right?" "Yes," she whispered. "Many nights, before you knew me, I watched you breathe. I listened to your heart. It told me you were kind." He opened one eye, and now? She leaned closer. "Now I hear something more." He felt her fingers touch his hand lightly, carefully, as if she was still learning how to show emotion through touch. "You are not just kind," she said. "You are strong. You gave me courage." "I was always alone. Until you." Leo didn't know what to say. His chest felt warm. In all his years of training, studying, and working across different planets, he had never felt a connection like this. "I think," he said slowly, "you're not alone anymore." She smiled again and closed her eyes. That night she didn't watch him sleep from a distance. She lay beside him, her head close to his, and for the first time, she slept peacefully. The next morning, they began the walk back to the main research station. The journey took longer this time. They weren't running. They weren't hiding. They moved slowly, enjoying the view and each other's company along the way. Sira touched plants, watched birds fly, and pointed out tiny creatures Leo had never noticed. It was like she was seeing the world through new eyes. At one point, she stopped to kneel beside a stream. Leo waited as she cupped her hands and let the cool water run over her skin. "This world is quiet," she said softly, "but full of life. Like your planet, different, but beautiful." Leo nodded. "Maybe this could be home, for both of us." She looked up at him. "You would stay?" "I was sent here for work," he said, "but now I think I was meant to meet you." Back at the station, things had changed. Earth Command had sent a new message. They confirmed that Sira's people had officially withdrawn their search. No further interference would happen. A request was also made for Leo to act as Earth's first contact representative for peaceful communication with Sira's species. It was a historic moment. A human and an alien forming a bond beyond science and rules, but the choice was his. Sira watched him read the message. "I will leave if needed," she said quietly. "If your people ask," he looked up at her. "They're not asking you to leave. They want to learn from you, talk with you, and they want me to be the one to help that happen." Sira's eyes softened. "And do you want that?" Leo stood and walked over to her. He gently placed his hands on hers. I want to stay with you, he said. That's all I'm sure about. Sierra placed her head against his chest. Then we stay. Weeks passed. The station became a place of study, but also a place of peace. New equipment arrived. More supplies, but no other humans. Leo and Sierra were given space and time. Sierra learned faster each day. Her speech became clearer. Her expressions grew wider. She laughed, a sound Leo never thought he'd hear from someone like her. It was soft but real. They worked together, studied the planet, sent reports. And at night, they sat together under the stars, just like they did at the tower. One evening, after dinner, Sierra stood beside the garden Leo had started growing outside the lab. She held a small flower in her hand. Its petals glowed gently. Leo joined her. What are you thinking? She turned and looked at him with a gentle expression. That I never imagined I would find joy. Not on a planet far from home. Not in a human, not in myself. Leo smiled. Sometimes the best things are the ones we don't expect. Sierra stepped closer and reached out. She placed the glowing flower in his hand. Then she whispered, You are the reason I came to this planet. And now, I know I came for the right reason. Leo felt his heart beat stronger at her words. He reached out and pulled her gently into a hug. She didn't pull away. Not anymore. That night, as the stars watched over them, she rested her head on his shoulder and closed her eyes. And for the first time in her life, Sierra knew she had found something her people had never understood. A home, not made of stone or stars, but of connection, trust, and the quiet strength of two hearts choosing each other.